Boom, boom, boom. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Oh, shit. All right, everybody, we are live. Hopefully, live on Twitch, on Facebook, and on YouTube. This is the first time I am doing a multi-platform live, so please bear with me. There may and most likely will be some sort of technical challenges and difficulties, but we will work through them. I am confident in that. You got to start somewhere. You got to start sometime, right? So this is the time. The time is now. So everybody, welcome. Thank you for being here. This is quite an exciting day. It's my live launch, and I also want to just be completely transparent with everybody, because I don't want you sitting there wondering, talking to whoever you might be there with, and saying, man, does he look nervous? 100%, 110%. I am much more nervous than I ever thought that I would be. And my internet was actually out. My internet service provider had a complete outage in our area for about a little over an hour. But luckily, it came back on about an hour ago. So up until 6 o'clock, I was kind of in full-on panic mode, as you can imagine. And also just want to let you guys know, in order to do this, I have two different cameras. So in case you're wondering why it looks like, to some of you, I may be looking right into the camera, and some of you, I might be looking right next to or below the camera. That is why I have two different cameras to kind of support the multi-platform stream going on. So that is why my eye contact may seem a little goofy at times. All right, so you may be wondering, what is it we're doing here? Some of you may think you got a pretty good idea based on a lot of the teasers that I've been dropping across the social media platforms throughout the week. And, I got to say, it's not any one particular reason. You'll find out as we go along. But my guess is you're likely right on many things. And I'm going to think that there's going to be some surprises. I would be absolutely shocked if anyone out there knows everything about what is going on today. So the first part of the stream, while I have three platforms going, and unfortunately I could not get approved. I could not get the following in time to get approved to go live on TikTok and on Instagram. So that is why we're limited to the three platforms. I was hoping to do it across the five, but you need a much larger following than what I was able to obtain by today. So we're doing with what we got. Now, while we're live on both Facebook and YouTube along with Twitch, this will be considered the first part of the stream. What I'm going to do is walk you through what brought us here today. What brought me here today and why you're joining with me in this stream. So basically, kind of a brief synopsis of my life up to this point, sparing a lot of the nitty-gritty details. This part should not take probably much more than 30 minutes or so. Those of you that know me are thinking, okay, so that's probably means an hour. I wrote out an outline, though. I'm going to try to stick to that to help keep me guided along so I don't go off on some wild tangents. So then after I kind of bring you to what got me here, I then want to tell you a bit about my vision, some of which is already happening. Some of the vision is something that's current, but the majority of what I have a vision for is what is yet to come in the future. And some of it could be in the very near future, and some of it maybe a little bit out into a little bit more distant future. So, all right, let's start with what brought me here today. Well, all the way back. It was a muggy, stormy evening of April 20th, 1981. My mother was on her way to the hospital. No, guys, I'm just kidding. We're not going through the entire life story of me. I'm not going to sit here and absolutely bore you to death. You'll probably just tune out immediately. Hopefully you didn't, because that was just a joke. Okay. So that out of the way, what I'm going to actually do is we're going to fast forward the first 20 years of my life. So at about the age of 20, which would be almost 25 years ago now. So you do the math. Yeah, I just aged myself. All right. So what I knew I wanted to do was pursue some sort of a career in media. To be more specific, sports broadcasting is what I wanted to get into. Even more specifically than that, my dream was to become the next Jim Donovan or the next Tom Hamilton, the voice of Cleveland sports, so to speak. And Jim Donovan, may he rest in peace, one of the all-time legends of not just Cleveland Browns, but of sports, bigger than even football. I mean, a true legend, as is Tom Hamilton. Guys, we've been spoiled. If you're here with me as a Clevelander, especially a Cleveland sports fans, trust me, we have been spoiled with those two. Tom Hamilton just recently inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame for how good of an announcer he has been for us here in Cleveland. We're so lucky to have those guys. But anyways, don't want to go too far off on that tangent. Just wanted to give those guys their respect that is due. So while I was at the Ohio Center for Broadcasting, that's where I went after spending first 2 years at Kent State, where I was majoring in communications, and just started thinking that path was just not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to get more hands-on. I wanted a more focused experience, getting me right into the heart of broadcasting. So I attended the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. I think they've since changed their name. They're right down in the Valley, in Valley View, over by near Independence. So I graduated from there right at the beginning of 2002. When I was there, upon graduation, just like in school, how you do like senior superlatives. Well, they did that there, and I actually got voted for most likely to be on ESPN. So I took it very seriously, did very, very well, and was never an A student, but this school still, we had projects, they did grades, and I got A's across the board. Finished top of the class, and when I know that I want to do something, when I have a passion for something, because some of you, who may have went to school with me, may not think of me as being the guy that, like I said, never had the best grades. I had to work my rear off just to get into Kent State, which you guys know the joke was always, oh, can't read, can't write, Kent State. Yeah, I had to work my rear off my senior year just to get my GPA high enough just to get into Kent State. Just to give you an idea of how much of a non-scholar those of the people that may know me from back then in school days. So when I say that it's for me, it's about passion. It's about following a dream. That's what I'm talking about. It something turns on inside of me that I go into a hyperdrive mode. I turn it on. It was never a matter of intelligence for me. It was a matter of motivation and wanting to give my all to something. But I don't have a passion for it. I have a hard time really putting the effort into it if the passion isn't there. So that will be a theme tonight, is going to be passion. I'll talk about what my passion is, but I want you guys thinking about, what is your passion? We all have a passion for something. We all have dreams, right? It's just a matter of what is it? And are you living it? Are you pursuing it? Are you on a path that's taking you to where you can envision yourself wanting to be? Or are you just kind of riding life's roller coaster on the ups and downs wherever it may take you? And believe me, I understand that's where I have been pretty much all of my life up until very recently. So, anyways, let's go back. So I graduated from the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. Really believed I knew what I wanted to do. I knew it was going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of grit work upon graduation to get to where I wanted to be. Unless you were a former professional athlete, you guys know they get at least half of the jobs. It's just how it is. Or if you didn't have an inside connection, somebody, who can bring you in on the fast track, you were going to be spending years working part-time, minimum wage, multiple jobs, crazy shifts, and that was the life that you signed up for, knowing if you wanted to get to that level in your career in broadcasting. That's just kind of what it is. I was not naive to that. I knew that. Now, here's where the twist started to turn. So at that point in my life, things were starting to change. I was living with somebody at the time when I started. That relationship came to an end. I end up joining a church that would be considered a very strict form of religion. I won't go too much into it, but for those of you that may know, it was an independent fundamental Baptist church. And just to give you an idea, just a little idea of the battle that I then had being in broadcasting, trying to start a career, and then also following what that church was teaching and what they believed, which I took on as what I then believed. Music outside of Christian music, and I'm not even talking contemporary Christian music. In a church like that, contemporary Christian music was considered bad. All right. So unless it was like basically piano and organ type Christian music, it was not okay. It was not approved. It was not of God. So I was turning down job opportunities because it was for stations that played secular, non-Christian music. I mean, that would show me a radio station outside of a couple across the dial that you're not going to find that with. Even your AM talk radio stations, I had to battle with their sponsors. I on my interviews, I remember going on these interviews and talking to people about, well, who are your guys' sponsors? Oh, well, that doesn't sound like a godly sponsor. So again, turning down job after job because of this battle that I had with being in this church. So that was the first big twist. While I was at that church, I met the person I would end up marrying and being married to for 18 years. But the marriage was very rushed. We had about 9 months to really get to know each other from start to wedding day. And we had to basically decide that we were going to be getting married within 3 days after we first started talking to each other. That's, so again, I'm going to spare you guys all the nitty gritty details, but that's what I had gotten myself involved in. And it changed my life drastically, as you can imagine. So now I'm married. Now I got to start really considering a family, how, supporting a family. So basically I had to ditch the idea, the dream of ever getting into broadcasting. It was pretty much already dead, just with everything that I had to battle with. But then, now with a family in mind, and by the way, we were pregnant immediately, as most people who go to churches like that are, because there is no form of contraception whatsoever is okay. So we were pregnant immediately. So now it's like, okay, now we actually have a family. I got kids I'm going to have to, consider supporting and taking care of. So I continued down the path of working my way up. At that time, I had worked one of my very first jobs was at a Dairy Queen. So I returned there as a manager and worked my way up to becoming a general manager. And for what the job was, it paid enough for us to, live not luxuriously by any means, an extremely frugal lifestyle, to where we had to budget our packs of gum that we bought. But it was something that was going to at least be able to provide the needs for my family. So that's the path that I ended up going down until it came time to change to ownership. And unfortunately, things just didn't line up for various reasons, which, for the sake of privacy, I won't get into all the details on that, but things just kind of started to fall apart. So I started looking for another job and ended up going to work at Applebee's, where I was a store manager with Applebee's for almost 2 years. And that was a very tough lifestyle, because that was working a lot of like 3 till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning sometimes, and then turning around, going back to work at 10 in the morning. So it was a very challenging life with having young children at home. So I would soon look to move on from that, and ended up where I worked for about the next 9 years, as a buyer at Sandridge Food Corporation in Medina, where I was living at the time. And wasn't my dream job, but it was a good job. It paid better than I had been making previously. And it was your Monday through Friday, my first ever office job. It was a standard, quote unquote, 8 to 5 type of a office job, even though the hours would become much, much more different than 8 to 5. But it was that style of a job. And I was content with it, for a while. And then, as we all know, I'll kind of fast forward here so I don't go on for too long. But let's fast forward up to the year 2020. Everybody knows what the year 2020 brought. I mean, it brought heartache and a lot of pain and suffering and depression for a lot of us, to which I was no exception. I got put on work from home, which everyone always thought, oh, that's the dream, to work from home, right? Well, it's quite a bit different when you're working from home during the COVID era. Well, what makes it so different? Why would it not be so great then? Because there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to really interact with other adult human beings. If you were working from home during COVID, you were pretty much at home all the time. And that's okay, for a short bit of time, but month after month after month, going on a year, that's when people, and I know it wasn't just myself, but I am included in that, where, it got to a point of some pretty dark days. It was getting tough. And in the midst of all of this, and an already depressing and a high level of anxiety type time, I find out that I lose my brother, who at the time was only 33 years old. So we're already in a dark place. It's already a depressing time, and now that happens right on top of it. And um I can't even put into words what was going on in my head at that time. It wasn't good. And essentially that's when started. I had been suffering from migraines for a while, but at this point in time, the level of migraines that I had started to get were unbearable. I mean, I would find myself for days just burying my head under a pillow, not being able to hear sound, see light, just awful. Wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. And I will just say that all of these things combined put me on medical leave for several months. My doctor wrote it up, and I got medical time off of work, where I think I was only then able to get paid like half of my salary, so that put extra stress on things. Fortunately, by this point, my wife at the time was now working a full time job, so it wasn't as tough as it would have been when we were on just my income, but it was still tough nonetheless. So now let's fast forward. I'm trying to find something else because I just feel like I need a change of environment. I need something new. I end up getting a sales job, and it was the first time that um my wife at the time was okay with me getting a sales job because she was working a full-time job that had a good steady income as well. So that way we didn't have to rely on me having a known income. So I went into the sales job, and I was super pumped. I mean, I was like, man, I want to see what I can do. And I loved it. And I got hot right out of the gate. I was making really, really good money. I mean, I won't go into specific details, but I'll definitely at least allude to we're on the north side of the six-figure mark, which for me that's like double what I had previously made. Okay, so everyone's at a different level of where they're at with their jobs, their careers, what's a lot, what's a little. So just relative to myself, I was now in uncharted waters. I mean, I had never experienced this level of success financially, um, and I loved it. For a while, I did it for, I want to say, again, about just saying almost same as Applebee's. It was about 2 years that I did this. Now, what I will say is it wasn't all roses and sunshine. Um, the money part, the financial part was great. The part that made it not so great, the hours, the stress, my migraines even went up another level, just because there was so much deceit in this type of work, because this was in the line of employment recruiting at a high level. We were finding businesses, their CEOs, their COOs, their marketing managers, like the high level type of jobs. So when you're making commission off of some of these jobs, that's a nice paycheck. You could just get one of those in a month, and you're riding pretty high. So great on that side, but it was a big game, and I got tired of playing it. Even though the money was good, I was good at it. Especially for being somebody new in the business, I was off to a good, successful career path, but I could not I could not see myself doing that long term. One, because it wasn't who I am, and number two, because I couldn't see myself missing all the events that I would have to miss for the to remain in this job that my kids were going to be involved in. Because now I have boys in high school or going into high school and in high school, and they both are involved in a lot of things. And I did not want to be the dad that missed out on those things. So I knew this wasn't going to be able to be the job for me. Now that realization was happening right around the same time that uh, my ex and I were going through what would eventually be our divorce. Now I will say that it was a very amicable, very mutual. There was no, it wasn't an ugly thing. So at least there was some silver lining there. Yes, it was. It's always unfortunate. It's a sad thing when there's a divorce, and especially when there's kids. Fortunately, they were older at this point. So they were fairly independent already. However, it still was hard on everybody. As it always is. It's never going to be easy. But we just came to a point where we knew that we had gone for 18 years as great friends, but we were just never meant to be marriage partners. It just wasn't what we were supposed to be. And that goes back to the whole, the whole church thing and it being rushed, and we never really got to discover that through what we would consider in 2025 to be standard dating terms. Had we done that, we probably would have realized that and probably never would have gotten married. However, I will have to say here that I cannot say that there's regrets involved, because I believe we got together for some divine reason to produce two of the most amazing boys that you'd ever meet, with Josh and Jared. Josh is 19 now. He is currently attending Kent State University. He is at the present time wanting to pursue a English major so that he could teach English in the future. At one point in time, he pursued a career to become a professional wrestler. He was doing actually very well at it. Just realized, like I had with other things, that that wasn't really the long-term future that he saw for himself. So he made a pivot and decided that he'd attend Kent State now full time, and I fully support him in that. Jared is a sophomore in high school, currently in Beaver, PA, where he now lives with his mother. And he is already starting left tackle on his football team there. I mean, the kid's a monster. He's like 6'3", 250 pounds, wears a size 15 shoe at the age of 50. He hasn't even turned 16 yet. He's only 15. And so he's got a great thing going there. So I couldn't be happier that we at least were able to put two great human beings into the world, as a result of us having that marriage. So I just want everyone to understand there definitely is no regrets, no hard feelings. We hope to remain friends, hopefully forever, through all this. Like I said, everything was amicable and very mutual. So it's always the best thing if you are going to end up in a divorce. Anyways, let's move on from that. And so upon that, and wanting to figure out, well, how am I going to be able to have the time to spend with my kids, to be able to make sure I go to their events, and don't miss the big important things in life. It was going to be hard in a traditional job. I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure out, how am I going to make money, but also be able to do all these other things. So I started doing rideshare driving originally part-time, and then realized, because I live in the Cleveland, Ohio area, that if I did it, especially overnight, I was making really good money. I mean, I'm talking like Thursday through Sundays, working like 8 to 10 hour shifts, making $40 an hour. Again, relative speaking, some of you may not think like that's a lot of money, but for doing rideshare driving, to be able to pull in $40 an hour, doing that 4 days a week overnight, not bad at all. Not a bad gig. But yeah, you're never going to get, you're never going to get rich. You're not going to build a savings account. It's basically enough to keep the bills paid, right? I mean, it's enough, but you're never going to grow on it. So, in all this, there's one thing I want to tie in here. So, got divorced, moved into an apartment in Middleburg Heights, and found out that somebody who was my very first, if you want to call it, it's like, the junior high girlfriend, where, you consider yourself boyfriend, girlfriend, but you never actually go on any dates. So it's like, what is it really? But at the time, it's what you know. So my very first girlfriend that, I would talk to on the phone, or, breathe to on the phone, as we like to say, because I was very nervous, very shy back in the day. And so I didn't really do a whole lot of talking. It was a lot of breathing. But that girl, who I had ran into over the course of, all these years, of occasionally here and there, we coincidentally ended up at the same church a couple times, ran into each other. We had kids, we were both married. So I always kind of thought, well, life took us in different paths. So she also ends up getting divorced. 2 months after I move into these apartments, completely independent and separate of me, she moves into the same exact apartment complex. I mean, divine intervention, call it whatever you want. Unbelievable that things just worked out this way. So of course, we start talking. We're just thinking like, oh, we'll rekindle like just a friendship. And for several months, we were great friends. We would even tell each other about the different dates we were going on and things. Never really was thinking that anything would happen between us, until it did. Where the feelings just started getting way too strong, way too intense, and I just couldn't contain them anymore, and had to say something. And now we're coming up on 2 years where we have been exclusive with each other. And a few months ago, I actually decided to pop the ring out and pop the question, and she said yes. So she and I are engaged. Now, currently, as of today, our plan is, our wedding date is planned for 2 years out from now, which I don't know, might seem a little bit long, but she has her heart set on a certain hall. It's booked out, and this also gives us time to not have a stressful rush up to a wedding. So just wanted to share some of those details, because that's an important part of my personal journey. And the fact that she is completely supporting me in everything that I am doing is also a very imperative thing for to note, that on this journey, it really, I don't think, would be possible without that support. I can't imagine doing this without that. All right, so I started doing part-time streaming on the platform called Twitch, which some of you are watching from right now. Twitch was mostly known for gaming streaming. However, it is a much larger platform than that now. They have probably just as many people that stream on the just chatting section of their platform than any game, because people go on just like they do with Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and they go on just to chat like we are right now. And I went on because I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to build a community. And I thought, I love to play a virtual baseball game called MLB The Show. So usually when I do my streaming on Twitch, I'm playing MLB The Show with a community of people who also love baseball. And, we just talk baseball, and I get to do my best Tom Hamilton impersonation, and we have a good time, and I make a little bit of money doing it. Nothing much at all. I'm very part-time, very new at it, so I don't have any kind of a big following by any means. So doing that, I thought, this driving gig gets paying, but like, I wonder if there's something else I can do. So I started doing just research. I started researching what are some ways that maybe I can either find a work from home type job, which, again, very different than the COVID times. Now you can work from home, but you're free to go wherever you want while you're not working, right? So you're not stuck at home all the time. And there's just so many more different ways to do it. There's lots of different kinds of opportunities out there. So I was looking for ways that you can earn an income online. So I started then connecting, because everything I kept coming across seemed to be scam after scam after scam. Never invested too much, so I never really lost much, but it was, kind of deflating, pretty frustrating. And just seemed like it was going to be a dead end, and thought, like, are these people that are doing this successfully, are they even real? Or is this whole thing just a big scam? So what I then started trying to do is find if there are people that I know personally. Is there anybody that I know that's doing this? Is there anybody who's doing this and has been successful at it and has been doing it for a while? And I will say, yes, I found people who are successful and have been doing working from home, finding ways to make an income online. And a lot of it is a very passive way to do it, very passive income. So now that I know that that is something that was a reality, I thought, okay, how can we kind of marry what my passion is, because my passion isn't like just to make money online. That's not my passion. That is a convenience. That is a path to providing. But it still didn't change what my passion is. My passion is still in media. My passion is still, being in front of a microphone, being in front of a camera. And hopefully, as I've been talking, and I need a little bit of water. Hopefully you can see, I feel the nerve starting to shake off as I've been going now for a little over 30 minutes. So hopefully that's coming through to you guys as well. I just kind of needed to get going. I think I built up so much hype for myself, and that I just built these nerves up because as a result of that. So anyways, my vision, my passion is still trying to build a media platform. I want to, and when I say a media platform, I don't just mean by one avenue. Like, my big vision is to do live streams, podcasts. I actually am currently talking with another really big MLB The Show streamer. We hop into each other's communities, and we've gotten to know each other very well. And we've talked about the idea of starting up a podcast where we cover a variety of topics. And I think that would be amazing. That's something I've always wanted to do. Um, and then I want to grow multi YouTube channels to be able to reach different audiences with different types of content. Um, Ultimately, the real goal here is making an impact in other people's lives and building a platform to have an influence. I mean, that's why they call content creators a lot of times influencers, because you do get that opportunity to truly have an influence, to make an impact in people's lives when you get platforms that grow to certain levels. And that is ultimately where I want to end up on this journey. I want to be able to build a big of enough platform to have an influence, to make a positive difference in the world that we live in, which, as we know, being on social media, watching the news, it's become quite the ugly world. So I want to do my part to try to be able to make that positive, be a positive influence for change in the world. But in order to get there, there's a lot of steps involved. Um, and it takes a lot of investment, a lot of time, and I am not sitting on some big mountain of gold, of money somewhere. So I can't really do this and continue to live and support not just myself, but my fiance, and we live with her two boys, but then also be able to pay to support my ex and the two boys that we had together. So that's not going to be possible to pursue this full time unless I have some other source of income. So that's where now these two things are starting to marry together. So, what I kind of want to do now, and I'm just looking to see where I'm at on my notes here, because at some point, very soon, we're going to have to cut from the YouTube and the Facebook platform and bring everybody onto Twitch. So let me just see. Yeah, that's going to be here really soon. So basically, all right, let me just share with you real quick what we're going to be doing in the next part of the stream, because this will help you determine if the next part of the stream is something that you want to engage with or not. So first of all, first part of the stream, I turn comments off. So this really wasn't an interactive portion. This was more of I guess, a storytelling session, really. So I could kind of bring you guys along with me. The next part of the stream is going to be extremely interactive on Twitch, where I'm familiar with streaming when I have streamed before. That is where I will have my chat on. I will have my moderators in the chat to make sure there's no nonsense and shenanigans taking place. Timing those people out, banning them if necessary. And we will be able to do some question and answer on anything that is on your guys' mind. So, are you guys ready for the next phase? And this next phase, I'm going to dive into a lot more details. Okay, so right now, all you've heard is a bunch of kind of general broad talk. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to get into more details so that way you can learn what your part in all of this can be. And the only way that I can really streamline that is to not have three platforms running at the same time, because I can barely focus on one, let alone trying to worry about three. At some point, I'll get there. I'm just not there yet. I need some time to just, be familiar with these things and be able to do this for more time before I feel comfortable trying to follow, so many chats. And eventually, I will say, like I said, there's a lot of capital, a lot of investment that's needed to get to where I want to go. And this is one of those things. To stream successfully across multi platforms, what you really need to do is pay for a service. It's a third party service that brings all the streams together onto one, and then all the chats get combined into one. But I have pretty much tapped out what I can invest. I've already invested a pretty good amount to get to the point of where I'm at, and there's definitely more that I can do, but this is where we're going to discuss further in the next part of the chat. So let me well, I don't know how that's going to work because I disabled the chat. Okay, I didn't really think about that. I was going to say, is there anybody that needs a walkthrough on how to go into Twitch? So here's what I'll tell you guys. If you haven't done this yet, you could go to my website, which, if you don't know, yes, I created a website. Very simple. It's www.TheNassman.com. And the Nassman, just spelled like it is on my screen, TheNassman.com. Go there. There are links to all of my social media platforms there. You click on the one that it looks like a text box emoji with two eyes. That's Twitch. Click on that link. If you don't already have an account, it's very free and quick to sign up. I think you just need an email address and then tell them what you want your screen name or your username to be, and it's free, so you'll be able to get right on. And then follow me. So you just I think that link actually will take you right to my channel. So once you sign up, if you need to sign up, it should then direct you right into my channel where I'm already live there. And that should be what gets you there. All right, so everybody on YouTube and on Facebook, I am going to be signing off. I will check. You know what I'll do? I'm going to check my social media DMs right as soon as I log off. And if you guys have any problem getting on to Twitch, DM me. Okay. Again, all my links go to thenassman.com. Go on to one of my social medias. I'm on all of them. So I'm sure you got to have one of them. DM me. Just let me know that you need some help, and I will do what I can do to guide you along to make sure that you can get on Twitch so you don't miss part 2 of tonight's stream. All right, so for now, logging off of YouTube and Twitch. You know what I'm going to probably have to do? I'm going to probably just end up signing out of everything and then re-signing on just to Twitch, because it looks like since I'm doing this YouTube and Twitch combined, I think they'll both have to end, and then I'll just re-sign on and come on Twitch, and then Facebook will just get logged off as well. All right, guys, we'll see you in just a couple of minutes live on Twitch.